of this topic, why I left the church. Okay, so we did a part 1 and it was so much to dissect, literally from just 3 responses, and it ended up to like 20 minutes, and I will not be editing nothing out of the Unlearn to Learn series. But I am so excited, and this is just a topic that just needs to be discussed. You guys know that this is a platform where we let our voice be heard. This is by no means bashing anybody or speaking about anybody. This is just something that came to me, and I really wanted to hear why the young people are leaving the church, and not only that, so I know how to pray and how to direct my prayer when I'm praying. So I was like, this should be quite interesting, and it really breaks my heart at the same time to know that well, it might look simple to us, but it's not simple to them. But it be the little things that can be changed that is not being changed. Nobody's telling you to change anything as it regards to the Bible. All we're asking is for you to understand us and for you to teach us. All young people are literally hungry and thirsty for the word. But the reason why they're leaving the church, and I feel this deeply, is that they're not leaving the church because you're saying that you are preaching and you're doing that. They're leaving the church because you're not preaching and you're not teaching biblical principles. Because let's be honest, some of the stuff that are being taught and preached is not in the Bible. Some of us are preaching and teaching from your personal perspective. It has nothing to do with the Bible. And the young people are at a state where they're frustrated. They're so hungry and thirsty in this time. It's evident that they see what's happening, and they're so hungry and so thirsty that they're so tired of the norm. And I've said this in previous video. How can we come from a place of pandemic where we couldn't see our family, we couldn't go into church? This had never happened in our days, and we are experiencing this. Right? We weren't able to go to church. We were able to engage in activities that have kept us. And now that God have kept us through the pandemic, and now we are back in the church, things are operating, things are going the same way. We have the same mentality. This is a generation that will not stand for foolishness. This is not a generation that will stand for foolishness. So when they see these things happening, they will go to a place where they can quench their thirst and where they can be fed. Not saying that we are leaving the church, but we're leaving the building. This is a generation that is leaving the building and not the church. And that's where I would be discussing and speaking about in this video. But I do want to go to the hashtags or the tags of why I left the church on Twitter, because it's quite crazy. And this is just to shed some light of what our young people are going through worldwide, globally, that you are not even mindful of, you don't even know. And because you have not built a relationship with the young people, how can you reach them if you don't have a relationship with them? How can you reach them if you don't know where they stand? Because what I noticed is that we look on the outside and how they behave and how they react, not knowing that there is much more to what you see on the outside that is going on behind the scenes, or what they're being faced with. So we as the leaders, and I say we because I'm a leader, so we as the leader need to stop looking at how we look on the outside and try to come, even if you have to speak to the young people once a month or 3 times a year or something, just to see where they're at. And we don't want to have the meeting and you not hearing us. We want you to hear us, actually listen to us. Because we're not telling this. I've never went to a meeting where I've heard young people saying that we need to stop wearing hat, or we need to stop wearing skirt, or we need to stop wearing pants. No, they just have questions that they want answers for. Literally personal, that you have personal went through as leaders, or scriptural. They do not want you to come and be like, so pastor, there was one question that I remember that was asked about oral sex. Okay. And well, the question was asked, They were like, the blood of Jesus, with the blood of Jesus, we don't do da 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 da. How is that answering the question? These stuff are real. These stuff are discussed in school. They're aware that some of their friends even do it and engage in the activity. Why is it not a topic or something that can be discussed? Why it has to be so over spiritual when it's not even? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, when you behave that way and when you react that way, the young people is not going to ask anything. The young people is going to shut down. They're either going to leave or they're just not going to do anything in church. I believe that the young people have reached to a state, as I mentioned before, they're just frustrated. They want to grow and it's seen that they cannot grow. And now I'm not saying that it's not personal. Your relationship with God is personal, 100%. But if you are my shepherd and you should be leading me and guiding me and helping me, as God help you, why is it that I can never get no sort of substance from you? That's the problem there. All right, y'all. So now let's discuss some of the stuff that I saw in Twitter, and we're gonna quickly just discuss some of it. So one tweet says, "When the sheep is working hard to feed the shepherd," but it should be the other way around. I won't say nothing about that. Then another person said, "Being able to pass collection plates is more important than the people. Why I left the church." Okay, so one of my pet peeve is this. Honest is one of my pet peeve. I understand that the tithes of the people is very important and the importance of tithing and sowing into the body of Christ or into the kingdom. I understand that, right? However, what really my nerves is when we're having a service and an hour is literally, I'm not even exaggerating, an hour is taken up to collect offering. And you know why I have an issue? Because if you have taught the people the importance of sowing and tying, then you don't have to beg a soul to sow. And you don't have to beg a soul to put money in the offering plate, because you have taught them the importance of sowing. And you have taught them the importance of tithing into the kingdom. So why are we spending an hour to reach a goal for offering when there's a visitor that's there that needs to hear the word of the Lord? I'm there that needs to hear what God is saying. I'm there to worship. I'm not there to spend an hour on offering. I dislike that with a passion. You go up there, say whatever you're saying that you're going to collect the offering, right? Pray, and then let people come up. If you as a leader of that house or that shepherd of that house have taught the people how to sow, then there's not an issue when we're asking for offering. There's offering time, because they will come up because they see the importance of sowing or, giving their offering. Teach the people. It looks disgusting. It sounds disgusting when you're literally up there begging people. I mean, people literally be begging people to come and give their offering. It shouldn't be like that. If you teach the people. So this is what this person said, and this really breaks my heart. This person said, this is the reason why they left the church. Church politics. Y'all, church politics is a dangerous thing. I don't even think this should even exist. Like, church politics though? Church burned out. Whoa. That's big. Church burned out. I believe that some of us have a problem with burning out people. Serving should not feel like a burden. Serving should not feel like a burden. The moment you feel like you are serving and it feels like a burden, then you are burned out. And that's not okay. people will say something is wrong with that, but it's real. It's real. It's real. Okay, it is real. One of the reasons why I left the church, and I said the church in the sense where the building, why I left the building, because I didn't leave the church. The reason why I left the building is because, and when I say building, I'm not talking about no specific name of a church now, because a lot of y'all are petty and shady and love bringing news. But the reason why I personally left the building, I left the building because I was preached out. Preached out. At this point in the pandemic is when I have reached a point where I literally built a personal relationship with God. I thought I had a personal relationship with God through prayer and all of that, but I noticed I did not when the opinions of people matters. And when I say that is this, oh, I'm not going to wear this, or I'm not going to do this because the saint's going to say something, or the saint's going to have something to say. That's how I knew that the church had control of what I do and what I don't do. And not because God said not to do it. Oh, I felt that one. So during the pandemic, when we were home and we couldn't go to church, it had me to really build a relationship with God, with no longer hearing the voice of man telling me what and what not to do, but having a relationship with God where I know the voice of God telling me what and what not to do. And that's how I left the building. That's how I left the building. And I'm in the process of becoming the church. And I said the church because the church should be in us, where we represent Christ in everything that we do. So when you get out of the place where you're not doing it because my pastor said to do it, or I'm not doing it because my mother, who's a Christian, said to do it, but I'm doing it because God told me to do it, and I know I heard the voice of God. I should know not to touch something. Conviction, when the church is in me, I should know not to touch a thing that is ungodly, because I know the voice of God. And the church that is in me should reject anything that is not of him. All right. So this lady said she was churched out, which I get it. Spiritual abuse. Ooh, this is a tough one. Have you been spiritually abused? All right. Spiritual blackmail. Wow. Fear-based leadership. Whoa. Favoritism. Ain't that the truth, though? Wow. Double standards. This is why she left the church, of all these reasons. Wow. Double standards? That part hits home. The double standards, because a lot of you... Okay, so I don't want this video to be long, so I'm gonna stop right there, because that was a lot, and a lot that we can discuss from that. And I don't think I should do a part 3. If I do a part 3, y'all let me know. Y'all just drop it in the comment. Let me know if I need to do a part 3. But that was a lot and a double standard for me. So, and this is by no means, again, bashing or lashing out on anybody. But when this topic came to me, I was like, all right, I really want to hear what the young people got to say and why they left the church, or why they think young people have left the church. I've shared my experience of why I left the building of the church. I haven't left the church. I've left the building of the church, where my mindset is not all about trying to live a life to please people in the building, but my life should be pleasing God to impact those outside of the building. That is the church. That is why I'm in the church today and not in the building. So regardless of where I go in the state or where I move to, now in 2021, I finally understood the importance of having a personal relationship with God and why God has called me to be the church and not inside of the building. Has nothing to do with me or what God is going to do, right? But because I found out that I am the church, I'm not able to impact the life of others out there and bring them into the kingdom. The church, the building, should be where we come together to be taught, to be edified, to be trained, to go out into the world and to declare and to manifest the good commission, preaching the gospel, right? The building, the church, should not have been the place where we come and we sit and become complacent, stagnant, and dormant. It was a place where we should have came to be trained and taught to go out and to win souls. Why are we in the building sitting down where there's people out there that needs their soul to be won or saved from going to hell? Now is the time that we should be doing that. But once I've noticed, and this is only done by the religious folks, that when somebody have realized and noticed that they have a voice, and when they use their voice, and now they're doing what God wants them to do, here comes the religious folks ready to whip and cast them out. Now, hear what I'm saying about the double standard. Hear what I'm saying about the double standard. We will accept a thing from somebody and not from somebody else. It's either you're against it or you're not against it. There's by no means that you should bash somebody for, wearing pants or wearing makeup or lipstick or whatever it is, wearing a hat or don't wear a hat, right? But yet still, you listen to the music and you listen to the preachers of people who wear makeup, wear pants, wear jewelry, and all this stuff. Double standards. That is hypocrisy. That's you being an hypocrite. I'm respectfully, right? Double standards. And people see it evident in the church. People see the double standard. People see the favoritism. And when they leave, it's automatically, okay, she backslide. She just, no. What they realize is that they now understand God from a personal place, and now they're worshiping him from that level. Also, a lot of us grew up serving our family God, which is Jesus too, but we know him as the God my grandmother served, or the God my grandmother prayed to every morning, the God my mother prayed to every night, the God that my mother went to church to serve every Sunday. But some of us have now reached to the point where it's not personal. The God that I serve, this is who God is for me. We hear people have their miracle testimony, their healing testimony, and we're like, yes, God heals. Yes, God is a God of miracles. But we have not personally experienced that. So now that we are in a situation and God healed us, or God, worked a miracle for us, now we know that God is a God of power. And God is a God who heals and he works miracles, right? So now it's personal. So the young people are leaving the church for different reasons, for good, and some are leaving for bad, because some just don't believe that they should be going through all these stuff. And this is from church people who should be good. But let me tell you something, for someone who might be feeling that way, that you don't feel like you need to be in the church, you don't feel like church is not for me, because if this is what I'm going to go through, if this is what I'm going to face, might as well just go in the world and enjoy my life. Let me tell you something. Never you let anybody cause you to turn your back on God or allow you to dismiss what God has done for you, or even forget what God has done for you. Because people would do any and anything. And the enemy, the devil, will use any and any vessel that make itself or himself or herself available to be used. And this is why you have to guard your spirit at all times. So don't let nobody say anything and cause you to want you to leave the church. You can leave the building. You can leave the building and seek God for you to represent the church, because we are the church. I am the church. You can leave the building, that's fine. But don't allow anybody to stop you from being the church. Don't give nobody that power and the authority to do that. You are powerful, you are anointed, and nothing that anyone says is going to stick on you. The label that they place on you, non-stickable. It's not going to stick. It's not going to stick. It cannot stick. Because that's not the label that God placed on you. The label that God placed on you is that you are anointed, you are royal priesthood, you're a peculiar people. Let me tell you something. Don't allow anybody to have that much power over you. Don't allow it. Don't let it happen. Because if I should have allowed that to happen, baby, I would have left the church, the building, everything altogether. And what I also noticed, another thing from personal, is that I've had this, God have caused me to do this ministry, in the place where I was hurting. And God was like, pray. I didn't know what to pray for. And God caused me to go on Facebook Live, start praying for people. And that's how I found out what my gift was, one of my gifts at that time. And I was just praying for people, and God developed me in prayer, literally. And there was no one that guided me. There was no one that instructed me. It was my relationship with God through prayer that has guided me up to this day. Due to 2020 pandemic, right? I know the voice of God for myself. I can identify when God is speaking to me, right? And I trust when I hear the voice of God. I've now understand why it's important to know the voice of God. I'm going to share from my personal perspective. People will look at what they think is not, or it doesn't match up to their standard, rather. It doesn't match up to their standard, and they don't think it's of God, and they condemned you for it. But when you're doing things, when you're doing things that are of God and God instructs you to do it, they don't see you and they don't say anything. And I feel like that's also an issue with the leaders today. They identify, and the wrong is not missed by them, or what they seem like or think is wrong is not missed by them. But when you're walking your calling and walking your purpose, they don't see it. And that's why I left the building, because I noticed that if I don't know the voice of God for myself, then other voices are going to have control over what I do. And that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I learned the voice of God for myself. And because I know God for myself, I'm not perfect. But I'm willing to make every change necessary to be the church that represents Christ and Christ only. It has nothing to do with what I wear. It has nothing to do with whether or not I wear makeup. It has nothing to do whether or not I wear a hat. Has nothing to do whether I wear a skirt or pants. It has to do with my walk and my personal walk with Him. That's it. That's all I had to say. So y'all, thank you so much for being a part of this topic. Was very interesting. You know what, in the comments, share with me why you left the church, why you left the building. I want to know so I can pray for you. And also it helped me to have more clarity, because I'm very passionate about young people. Y'all already know this is the voice of the youths, and I just want to hear why you left the church, why you left the building. If you actually left the church as like you're no longer in church, then inbox me, let's talk. And if you're in church but you have moved from the building to having a person and being the church, I also want to hear your view. So don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your folks. And y'all, let me know what other topic we should talk about. All right, bye.